Welcome to the Buttermilk Box. This is Chef Terry, and today we are making buttermilk biscuits, because what else would you do on your inaugural video? So, if you have already taken a look at that very first slide, you'll see everything is prepped, okay? We have our oven set to 425 degrees. It's been that way for almost an hour now. I just set it and went on about my business to do other things, getting all of this ready. It's really what I was doing. And I also got all of my ingredients together. So, those ingredients are 2 cups of all-purpose flour, or if you can find it, I highly recommend white lily flour. Not the self-rising kind, but just an all-purpose white lily flour. It's made from 100% winter wheat, so it's very soft. Unfortunately, it only comes in bleached and bromated versions, which is not the best thing in the world, but we deal with what we have. So the next thing that I have, also I just have it in this bowl, I have a tablespoon of baking powder, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and I have 2 teaspoons of salt. That is just going to get put directly into the food processor bowl. And what I want to do is just aerate this just a little bit, nothing crazy. That's all I want to do. Remember, friction creates heat. So, oops, we want to keep this as cold as possible. That's why our butter was in the freezer after we chopped it up. Okay? If you forget, it's not that big of a deal, but always try to keep a stick of butter, unsalted of course, in the freezer. You'll never know when you'll need it. So maybe 5 pulses, good 1-second pulses, but not more than that. So, I'm going to check it now and see what I've got. Oh yeah, this is great. I have some pieces that are a little larger and some pieces that are just like grains of sand. So that's absolutely perfect. And what else is next is the buttermilk. Now, don't go crazy with your buttermilk and add it all in at one time. Depending on the humidity of where you are, the humidity of your kitchen, you may need less, you may need more. I have a cup, and we're going to start with just drizzling that in while I pulse. And what I want it to do is come into a ball. And I can see that it's starting to turn into a ball. Maybe a couple more pulses, and done. As soon as it starts to hold itself together, you stop and move ahead. Okay? And one of the things that I love to have in my kitchen at all times is a bench scraper. This is my clean hand, but on my dirty hand, if you know what I mean. So you see, it is a nice ball, right? But not stuck together and not at all dry, which is the last thing we want. So, next thing we do want is to just get a little flour on our board. You don't have to flour a huge amount. This is only 2 cups of flour, right? So it's going to make just a small amount. Get that blade out. Don't cut yourself, please. I always like to just put a little flour on my spatula, and let's pull this beautiful dough out. Aha. This is much, much, much better than that first attempt. I won't even tell you what happened. So, I'm going to use my scraper just because I can. And notice that, I'm also trying to limit as much as I can how much I touch this dough. Okay? Because we're going to do a lot to it. But I don't want any of that to be in any way, shape, or form kneading your dough. Okay? Tell this dough you don't need it, but we're going to eat it. Okay, a little bit more flour. If you have little cracklings that are getting on your hands, rub them off because they're going to stick to your dough and they're going to rip it. And you're not going to be able to do much with it if it's continuously ripping like that. Now what I want to do, notice there is no rolling pin in sight. I do not like to use rolling pins for this. It stretches the dough, and all we want to do is just pat it, okay? We're going to make some layers using traditional pastry or bread technique. We're going to do a 3/4 turn, or a business envelope turn is what it's called. Press it back out, and we're just going to do, it's getting sticky, and I don't want that to start to pull this dough off of itself. Get it off your hands, and let's just go the other direction. Notice my dough is still nice and wet, and that's exactly what I want. Okay? A dry dough at this stage means a dry biscuit, and that's the last thing you want. Because, trust me, hey, have you tried one of Chef Terry's biscuits? Oh, they're dry. I don't want anybody saying that about me. And I don't want anybody saying, wow, they're doing Chef Terry's biscuit recipe, but it sure is dry. No, you're not going to do it. Okay, pat, 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 pat. Let's see what we've got here. That's also why I love this one, because it gives me some measurements. So I'm right about 1/2 inch, and that's great and fine with me. So, next step is to get our cast iron ready and get our biscuits cut. Be right back. So, I have a little brush, and I have some room temperature butter, and I am not going to be shy here. Probably 2 tablespoons in there. And before I start messing this around, here's my leftover butter. I want to put that in the microwave for just about 9 seconds. And while that melts, that's going to be the top for our biscuits. Now let's get in here, and I'm not kidding about just buttering this thing up really, really, really well. Let your melted or melting butter still hang out. Get this butter everywhere in here. And then don't throw this away. I was about to put it in my sink, but I'm going to need it. Now, let's talk about cutting out biscuits. So, old school way, I'd have grabbed a jelly jar and just push this down and screw it down to the countertop. But then all of my edges of my biscuits are uneven, and then your rise won't be even. What I want you to do is get yourself a cookie cutter. This is about 2.5 inches wide. It's the perfect size for just like a dinner biscuit roll. Biscuit roll? Perfect size for a biscuit. Roll's going to be a whole nother class. So, instead of pushing that jelly jar down and squeezing it down to the bottom, what I want you to do is just push that cookie cutter straight down. Don't twist it. Bring it over and let it just sit right there in the middle of your pan. Right. So it's got a lot of biscuit still on it, right? Because the biscuit is really moist on the inside. So what I want us to do is put it in flour each time. Now that one was really well floured, so it didn't come up. But let's just keep going around. Love that sound. It's one of my favorite. You know you're making good biscuits when it goes. One more. Can you hear it? I lied about one more. I can get 2 more out of this. And 1 more. Now, let's just use this to cut away, get our biscuits out. When you put them in your cast iron, make sure that you have a center biscuit and that you have the rest of your biscuits are touching them around. You can leave a little bit of space. Incredible. Okay, so now what I would generally do is, because we have 3 dogs that love a biscuit more than, well, not more than me, but they love a biscuit. So what I usually do is after this first round, I put my dough back together. Notice I did not mix it. I didn't do anything but pull it together and pat it down. Right? So make sure it's about the same height. You remember, an inch and a half? Or sorry, a half of an inch. Open that up. Let's move these biscuits around so I'll have room to put one more in. I really don't like to waste, but I also don't like to make biscuits over and over and over again with this dough. What I do for the dogs is I roll it into a dog snake, dog snake, and I bake it. I just make sure that it's the same size. If you're using a cast iron, you probably won't have the right room or the amount of room that you need, but don't let this go to waste. Put these on just another little tray or something, and that's going to make even more biscuits for you, for the kids, for the dogs. All right, there's not a whole lot of salt in here, so it's okay. It's not going to be too bad for them. And I'm not telling you to give a dog an entire biscuit. Give your chef an entire biscuit. So let's get our butter. It's melted. And so we have about 2 tablespoons or so of butter in here, maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to brush the tops. Try not to get it down onto the sides because I don't want it to sort of cook and close up. So what I want to do is just brush the tops. Once these rise, we're going to butter them. I'm going to butter them again. We may even butter these things 3 times. So I always do love to hit them with butter as soon as they come out of the oven, so they're nice and shiny. Okay. And that's that. So here we go. Our biscuits are ready for the oven. Remember, that oven is screaming hot, and it has been for a long time. So pop it in, close the door. You leave that door open for any amount of time, and you're going to lose about 50 degrees of heat. So one hint from me to you is, as soon as you are done with one of your tasks in cooking, clean up after yourself. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to also set my timer for, let's go for 12 minutes. And we're going to check. But I'm going to keep an eye on them. As soon as I see that they're going to rise up a little bit, I'm going to brush them with a little bit more butter. Then, when they're ready, I'm going to pull them out, and we're going to look at them together. We're going to brush them with a little bit more butter, and then we're going to figure out what to put on them. See you back in just a swish of a second. Okay, guys, here they are. Our buttermilk biscuits. Nice and not sticking to the pan, which is what we always are afraid of. What I want to do, though, is I want to get them out of here so that they can cool off a little bit quicker, or we're never going to be able to get any butter on them. So let's just pour them out. Look at those beautiful bottoms. Look at those gorgeous, gorgeous biscuits. Now, I do want to spread them out. I like to sort of prop them up on each other so that the bottoms can get a little cool as well. But instead of wasting too much time, let's just throw caution to the wind and let's open one up and have a look. So, ooh, these are really hot. So I don't want to go in, I don't want to stab too much. Just insert your knife and open them up. And look at all that gorgeous steam, those beautiful flakes. So I have just a really nice strawberry jam, just a grocery store jam. The French one, if you know which one I mean, has absolutely delicious flavor, tastes like strawberries. So let's add some butter. All right, I think that steam's getting me, or I'm just salivating because I know that buttermilk biscuits are in my future. And, you know, just a little bit of jelly. Get on there. Oh. I've been really busy between that little break I took. All my dishes are done, the dishwasher is loaded, everything's ready. So now all I have to do is enjoy a buttermilk biscuit. So I always like to eat the bottom part first. Again, let's take a look at that. That butter that we had on the bottom of that cast iron skillet not only makes it even more non-stick, but you get this gorgeous crust on the bottom. I don't mean crust like a bread or anything, but just a really nice soft crust. Give it a taste. I promise eventually I'm going to have a really good mic so you guys can hear me crunching this biscuit. Wow. I have to eat another bite. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed this as much as I have, and as much as I'm going to continue to enjoy it in the time to come. So, follow me on my social media. I'm on Facebook. I have a YouTube page. If you feel like it, look for Buttermilk Box on Venmo or PayPal. I would so very much appreciate any support that you can give. It helps me keep going. So thank you guys so much. Thank you from the Buttermilk Box, from Chef Terry. Much love.